So now, my dear students, so you can see that, yeah, good morning. We will start for the class today. So in the last class, we are discussing the types of optical amplifier. So in that particular type of amplifier, so we have discussed that there are three fundamental types of amplifier. Those are semiconductor optical amplifier, doped fiber amplifier, as well as the distributed fiber amplifier. Okay, so all these three things we have understood. Okay. So among this particular three things, what we can see is in the semiconductor optical amplifier, there are two things, that is Fabry-Pérret amplifier as well as traveling wave amplifier. So, and in the next, that is doped fiber amplifier, we have a EDF, that is erbium doped fiber amplifier. So after we understanding this particular types of optical amplifier, so we can go for the SOA amplification mechanism. So in the last class we have discussed this particular SOA amplification mechanism. So how it works and all we have understood. So how that particular coupling optics will guide the wave. So will guide the wave means what? Go to and fro. Okay, that particular thing is going to happen. So when the wave is moving to and fro, so the intensity level will get increased. Once the intensity level is increasing, okay, once the intensity level is increasing, so obviously, so what exactly will happen is once the intensity level is increasing, so we get the amplification process. That is what a very, very simple concept. So later we understood that the simple structure of SOA amplification mechanism. After that, today we'll understand this particular process of absorption, population inversion, and stimulated emission. Okay. So when we observe this particular process of absorption, population inversion, and stimulated emission, so we'll go for the absorption. What do you mean by absorption? So here actually the device absorbs energy supplied from external source, that is called as what? Pump. Okay. So here pump means what you see, basically wherever the pump is used. Okay. So for example, in your day-to-day life, so you will be using the water pump. That means what the pump will do? So if you just turn on the pump, so pump will pump the water from lower level to higher level. That means from the what you call from the underground to the syntax, it will pump the water. Okay. Similarly, when you are talking about when you are going for the vehicles, okay, there is a pump. So pump will be used to fill the air. So that means what? Pump gives the energy. Okay, pump will supply the energy. That is what exactly the concept here. Okay. So here also pump means what? It will supply the current. Okay. So here once absorption process, when you are seeing the definition of absorption, so you can see that here device absorbs energy supplied from external source, that is called as what? Pump. Okay, so here device absorbs energy supplied from external source, which is called as what? Pump. So now in the population inversion, okay, so here okay, so in the absorption process only, when the pump we act, okay, so pump will pump the current. So that particular current pumping will leads to the absorption of energy. Okay, the absorption of light energy. Okay, that particular process is going to happen. So now when you're talking about the population inversion, okay, so now you will see the definition of population inversion. What do you mean by population inversion here? Due to the action from external source, the electrons in the active region jumps to higher energy level to produce the population inversion. That means what here? When external source of energy is being applied, okay, when external source of energy is being applied, so electrons which are in the active region, okay, so will jump from lower energy level to higher energy level. Okay, so when external source is injecting energy, so whatever the electrons which are there in the lower energy level of your active region, will take the energy. Okay, so once they acquire the energy, their energy level is changed. Yes or no? So initially it was in the lower energy level. So once they take the energy, it is supposed to go to the higher energy level. That is what the conclusion. So once they go to the higher energy level, okay, so that particular transferring of the electrons or jumping of electrons from the lower energy level to the higher energy level. So that is called as what? Population inversion. That is called as what? Population inversion. The process of making the electrons which are in the active region to jump to the higher energy level. Okay. So that particular process is called as what? Population inversion. So next comes stimulated emission. Okay. So here in the what you mean by stimulated emission is the optical input pulses or signals enters through coupler will reach the active medium. The optical input pulses or signals enters through the coupler will reach the active medium. The excited electrons now drop to the lower level through stimulated emission and produces an amplified signal or produces an amplification of the signal. So now here what you can understand one thing is when the electrons are at higher energy level, okay, so now they cannot sustain there. Why? Because whatever the energy it is gained naturally, they will go and they will place in the higher energy level itself. But due to some external force, if they take the energy, so once that particular external energy amount is getting somewhat dropped, okay, so the electrons will not sustain for higher energy level for longer duration. Once they are not able to sustain there for longer duration, what exactly happen? They will drop. They will drop to their original lower energy level only. So once they are dropping to the original lower energy level, what happens? What happens? They will release the photon. So they will release the energy. So in that particular active medium, once energy has been released, that energy which is released in the form of photon will move to and fro in the Fabry-Perret medium. So once that particular movement of photon is there, that is reflection is there in the Fabry-Perret medium, okay, the amplification of the signal will takes place. Okay, so that particular amplification is very important thing. So once it amplifies the signal, so it is called as what? Stimulated emission will leads to amplification of the signal. Okay, so your absorption, population inversion, stimulated emission. So all those things are very well-known facts with respect to the laser action only. Since we are using the Fabry-Perret, so Fabry-Perret is pertaining to the laser. Okay, so we can understand that absorption, population inversion, stimulated emission, all these things are working fine for this particular amplification of the signal. So amplification of signal means what? Increasing the intensity of the light energy. So after understanding this one, we'll go for the some of the features. So features of SOA. Okay, features of semiconductor optical amplifier. So when we are going for semiconductor optical amplifier, the features. Okay, the first feature you can see that the reactive medium in SOA is constructed using alloys of semiconductor elements. Okay, so that is the first feature, active medium in the semiconductor optical amplifier, that is SOA, is constructed using alloys of semiconductor elements. Okay, so alloys of semiconductor elements means what? Semiconductor must be there in the active medium. So when semiconductors are there in the active medium, okay, so here that particular semiconductors are made with their alloys. Okay, so that means what? Doping. So the generation of energy, that particular production of energy. Okay, so all those things will be in a very higher level. That is what the benefit what we have. Okay, that is what exactly the concept. That is why we will go for the doping and taking the alloys and all we will going to take into consideration. That is the thing. So next feature when you are talking about is they work in low lossy optical windows. So optical wavelengths at 1300 nanometer and 1500 nanometer. So now they work in the low lossy. Low lossy means what? The loss will be very less. They work in the low lossy optical windows. Here optical windows means one particular range of wavelength we are talking about. Window means what? Some particular portion. So here that is what exactly the thing here. They work in the low lossy optical windows at 1300 nanometer and 1550 nanometer. Okay, so this is the window size. That is the second feature. When you are talking about the third feature, so they can be easily integrated with the same substrate used for optical devices like couplers, isolators, etc. So here they can be easily integrated with same substrate. Okay, this particular semiconductor optical amplifier, these can be integrated with same substrate which is used for optical devices like couplers, isolators, etc. So now what is the benefit? What is the benefit if you are preparing or if you are manufacturing the SOA with the same substrate? So here compatibility is the matter. So here optical compatibility must be very important thing here. Why? Because when the optical compatibility is there, so the wave will not get distorted. It will move from one particular device to another particular device very easily. Okay, that is what exactly the concept here. So that is why if you are making the same substrate for preparing the SOA also, then we can say that okay, this is one of the advantageous features for us. Okay, that is the third feature. So what it says that they can be easily integrated with same substrate used for optical devices like couplers, isolators, etc. Those are the third feature. That is the third feature. What about the fourth feature? They can consume low power and results in high gain response in the order of 1 picoseconds to 0.1 nanoseconds. So here they can consume low power. Okay, they can consume the low power and results in high gain response. So they consume the less power. See, consuming the less power for its operation is a very important and very advantageous features, I can say. Correct, no? So they can consume very less power. So and the results in the high gain response. So taking the extra energy for their operation is very less, and but the result is very good. That is one of the advantageous feature once again. So that means what 1 picoseconds to 1 nanoseconds. So the high gain response will be obtaining within the range of 1 picoseconds, means very less time. The moment you give the input, the moment you will get the output. So there is no delay at all. So there is no delay at all. From 1 picoseconds to 0.1 nanoseconds, it is going to happen. They consume low power and results in high gain response. So that will be in the order of 1 picoseconds to 0.1 nanoseconds. Okay, so that is what exactly the concept here. So an active medium in SOA is constructed using the alloys of semiconductor elements. The next one is what they work in the low lossy optical windows at 1300 nanometer and 1500 nanometer. And they can be easily integrated with same substrate used for optical devices like couplers, isolators, etc. And they consume low power and results in high gain response in the order of 1 picoseconds to 0.1 nanoseconds. So after we understanding this particular features, we can go for some of the advantages of SOA. So here, what is the advantage? What are the advantages of SOA? So when you're talking about the advantages of SOA, okay, so we must understand one thing. So advantages compared to what? Compared to other optical amplifiers or compared to other amplifiers, what are the advantages? Okay, so here SOA. Okay, so here SOA are the right size to be integrated with waveguide photonic devices. The size is a matter. So when the size is okay, when the size of the amplifier is right size, that means what? It is fit. So we can say that it is somewhat perfect. So here SOA are the right size to be integrated with waveguide photonic devices. That's the thing. So second advantages, if you are seeing, it is these can be easily integrated as pre-amplifiers at the receiver end. So basically, fundamentally, so we understand one thing. So in the amplifiers, we'll use the amplifier with respect to the booster amplifier, inline amplifier, and pre-amplifier. So in all these particular amplifiers, okay. So pre-amplifiers, we can go for the SOA. Okay, these can be integrated as a pre-amplifier at the receiver end. That's the one thing. Okay. So next thing is what they use the same technology as diode lasers. So as I told you, since when you are using the Fabry Perret, okay. So Fabry Perret, why we use to generate the laser signal. So what is the feature of laser signal? Laser signal will be very high intensity, monochromatic. Okay, so it can be used for many medical purposes and all. Okay, so its application is vast. So laser technology, the application is very vast. So when we are using this particular technology of producing the lasers, okay, so amplification in the amplifier will be very high. There's a very simple understanding, we can make it out. So your gain relatively independent of wavelength. So here, very important aspect here. The gain is relatively independent of wavelength. That means what? Gain is nothing to do with wavelength. So whatever the window size is there, so if whatever the wavelength you are using, the gain production is not a depending factor on the wavelength. When this particular thing is solved, it is gain relatively independent of wavelength is being solved. Okay, so we can understand one thing that okay, that is one of the best advantage, because some of the amplifier we can understand one thing. So the gain and wavelength are interrelated. So when this particular matter is interrelated, so obviously we need to compromise on the wavelength or we need to compromise on the gain. So now here when the gain is independent of wavelength, obviously, okay, so we can achieve good amount of gain for any wavelength signal. That is one of the best advantage. So next advantage when we are talking about is SOA are pumped with current, not another laser. So here very importantly, this particular advantage you can see when you compare the other optical amplifier with this particular semiconductor optical amplifier. What is the advantage? Advantage is what? When whatever the pumping we are doing, okay, that particular pumping will be done with the current. Okay, so we just inject the current. Current injection is going to take place. So when the current injection is taking place, okay, so the working of the semiconductor optical amplifier you have seen, there we can achieve the good amount of output response, everything is perfect. But when you compare SOA with other optical amplifier, in other optical amplifier, so we may be using the another laser in order to amplify the signal. So now you just imagine what is the complexity. So if you are using the another laser for amplification purpose, okay, so what it indicates? It indicates what? There should be a separate circuitry for preparing the another laser. That prepared laser light will be used for amplification. That means what? Your circuitry is complex. Your amount investment is very high. So it will be added. So when we use this particular semiconductor optical amplifier, so it need not Okay, it is not necessary to use the laser for amplification. So because the semiconductor optical amplifier itself is working like a laser. So that is the best advantage what we can have. So when we just see the advantages once again, so SOA are the right size to be integrated with waveguide photonic devices, and these can be easily integrated as preamplifiers at the receiver end, and these use the same technology as diode lasers. Okay, so the gain relatively independent of wavelength. Okay, so and SOA are pumped with current, not the other laser. Okay, pumping is very easy. So these are the advantages of SOA, semiconductor optical amplifiers. So next thing is what when we are seeing the disadvantages or limitations I can see. So for every device, when we have some sort of some number of advantages, there may be some other numbers of disadvantages also. Okay, so here disadvantages of SOA when you are seeing. So polarization dependence. Okay, so polarization dependence, self-phase modulation leading to a chip, because here we are going to use the self modulation. So when the self-phase modulation is happening, so there may be chances of arising the chip. So you know that very well. Chip is somewhat some unwanted signal will be generated, some unwanted thing will be generated. So that particular thing should not happen. But since we are using the self modulation, that may also lead to generation of chip. So next thing is what the cross phase modulation. Okay, since the self modulation is happening, so in that particular modulation process, okay, so there may be cross modulation also might happen. So we cannot say that 100% every time it is not happening. Sometimes it may happen that cross phase modulation is going to happen. Okay, so next is what four wave mixing and crosstalk. See, obviously, if everything is inside the one particular box, okay, so there may be chances of crosstalk, cross modulation, wave mixing. All these things are very common thing. So we need to take care of all these things. Disadvantages number two, and number three, four. All these are interrelated only, because since we are doing self modulation, it is leading to chip. Since we are doing self modulation, cross phase modulation might have happen. Okay, since it is already in the single particular box, so four wave mixing and crosstalk may also happen. Excuse me. So a four-way mixing and crosstalk might have happened. So and after that it is extremely short. That means what this particular generated excited states will be very small. So it is extremely short. It is in the terms of nanoseconds, and excited state lifetimes. Okay, extremely short excited state lifetime. Once the excitement is happening, that means what once the electron from lower energy level to higher energy level, if it is jumping, so the stability of those particular electrons to stay in that particular level is very small. Okay, those is very small, and they will come to their what do you call for, they will come back to the original lower energy level immediately. So it will be in terms of nanoseconds. Okay, so that is what exactly the So after understanding the disadvantages of semiconductor optical amplifier, we can go for the some of the equations related thing, that is external pumping. So when we see this particular equation, the rate equation for the carrier density considering spontaneous and stimulated emission. Okay, so dou n of t divided by dou t will be equal to rp of t minus rst of t minus nt. Okay, or n of t. So what is this particular RP? RP indicates external pumping rate. Okay, external pumping rate. So that particular external pumping rate is given by Rp equal to 1 divided by Q to the power of D. Okay, so what is this particular pumping? This one, RST. RST means what? It is a net stimulated rate is given by net stimulated rate. So how much amount of net stimulated rate is happening? That is RST will be equal to tau average into N minus NTH NPH, that is equivalent to G Vg NPH. So what is this particular Vg? So Vg is group velocity. Tau is optical confinement factor. Alpha is gain velocity. NTH is threshold carrier density. NTH is threshold carrier density and NPH is photon density. And G is overall gain per unit length. Overall gain per unit length. So this is the equation for external pumping what we have. So you need not to derive this particular equation as per your syllabus. You just straight away take the equation and you can just see the parameters of this particular equation. So now it's just after this particular equation, if you just continue. So here consider the active area with width W and the thickness D for optical signal with the power PS. The photon density is NPH equal to PS divided by Vg into Hν into WD. Okay. So here in the steady state, dou NT divided by dou T will be equal to 0. That means what density, the rate density will be 0 when it is in steady state. So obviously it should be 0 only. Okay. So here Rp of T will be equal to, in that case, RST plus N of T. Okay. So solving the equations, we will get the gain G will be equal to G naught divided by 1 plus NPH divided by NP saturation. So NP saturation will be given by this particular equation, that is 1 divided by tau average into pi into R, that is equal to tau alpha into pi into R into 1 J divided by GD minus NTH divided by pi into R. So these are some of the equations. You can just go through this particular thing. Okay. Okay, so now that completes your syllabus. Okay, so you can see this particular thing. WDM concepts, operational principles of WDM, WDM standards, Mach-Zehnder interferometer. Okay, so isolators, all those things we have discussed. So if I just go through this particular thing like wavelength division multiplexing, the optical signals of different wavelength. So 1300 nanometer to 1600 nanometer. So what are the things you can do? That is that can be propagated without interfering with each other. So there is a limit. Okay, just go through the contents what we have learned so far. So your wavelength division multiplexing will happen for the signals within the range of 1300 nanometer to 1600 nanometer. That is what we can understand here. So and later we understood the WDM scheme. So here we can see that there are maybe n number of transmitters and n number of receivers. So n1 number of transmitters and n1 number of transmitter and n number of receivers will be there. So here instead of using the n number of optical cables, so we do that particular process called as what multiplexing. So we use the parameters called as what wavelength multiplexer. Okay. So we use the parameters called as what wavelength multiplexer. So lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda n. So here after that the all multiplexing of all the wavelength will be happening and all those things will be moving in a single channel. So once they are moving in a single channel, optical amplifier. So here you can see that amplifier will be used at the both ends because to avoid attenuation and we are going to use the amplification. So this is a very simple scheme, but it is a very important question also. So an optical multiplexer couples, see what is the explanation part of it we have seen here. So, and the features, very important thing is what features of WDM. So when you are understanding the features of WDM, so your capacity upgrade, transparency, wavelength routing, wavelength switching, all these things are nothing but the features of the WDM. So after that we understood the passive components. So in the passive components we understood the basically the commonly required passive components are N cross N couplers, power splitters, power taps, and star couplers. So here I can see that 2x2 fiber coupler will be there. So it is a fundamental thing of a coupler. Okay, 2x2 coupler is a fundamental thing. See, 1x1 will not come into picture. Why? Because 1x1 means what? One input, one output. So there is no coupling action will takes place. That is why the minimum possibility is what? 2x2 coupler. So after that we understood that what are the 4 ports of the coupler and how the crosstalk, how the coupled power, how the power are lost due to the reflection, all those things we understood. So after that we can go for the performance parameters of optical coupler. So in that particular performance parameters of optical coupler we can see that excess loss. So here in the excess loss what is the equation? The excess loss equal to 10 log P0 divided by P1 plus P2. So like that insertion loss, what is the equation and all. So here P0, P1, P2 are the names for the ports what we have given. So we must always see that see if you are giving the names for the 2x2 coupler correctly, then only you can use the P1 plus P2 and all. Okay, so if you just in this particular diagram you can see that here we are given the input power as P0. So if you just replace this as P1, then the formula will also get changed. Okay, that you should be very much aware of it. Similarly, like crosstalk. Okay, next we go for the star coupler. So when you are going for the star coupler is very important thing because it plays a major role. It seems to be a fundamental thing. So you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4. That means what n number of inputs and n number of outputs will be there. So here one thing we need to understand is in the star coupler, whatever the input we feed, okay, so output will be divided equally in the all 4 ports. So that is what exactly the thing. And for that particular star coupler, what are the different kinds of equations will come? Then wavelength converter, how it happens? Okay, 8x8 coupler. So when you see that 8x8 coupler, okay. So what exactly you can see from this particular 8x8 coupler is the 2x2 coupler is a fundamental thing in the 8x8 coupler. So 2x2 coupler is arranged in the manner 12 2x2 couplers have been taken, and then we have found out then we have designed the 8x8 coupler. That is what exactly the concept. Next 8x8 coupler can be formed by interconnecting so and so. So and this is numerical also we have seen. And the next topic is what isolators and circulators. So what do you mean by isolator? What do you mean by circulator? Okay. So what do you mean by polarizer, Faraday rotator, birefringent plate and all we have seen. So in this particular optical isolator, we have seen that particular action, that is birefringent plate, 45-degree Faraday rotator. Okay, once again, why birefringent plate will be used. So here from the left input and right input, you can see from the top diagram, it is left input. When you are using the left input, you can see that when the wave hitting the birefringent plate, it will get splitted into the two phase. That is, one is what in the parallel, another is what in the perpendicular. Like that, it is going to be. Okay. So that is what exactly the thing which is happening. Okay. And then what exactly happen is by a 45-degree Faraday rotator. So here 45-degree Faraday rotator means what? When the wave is incident on it, it will turn the signal into the 45-degree rotation. That is what exactly the thing. So after that, I can see that the birefringent plate once again. So here what exactly happen? Once the 45-degree rotation is happen, already birefringent plate has splitted the signal. There is no further splitting will happen. That is why in the last time it is not going to split anything. But when you see this particular from the right to the left in the bottom figure, so once the wave is incidented, it is getting splitted. Once it is splitting, okay, you can see that after Faraday rotator, the phase of the Faraday rotator is rotated. Okay. So you can able to see that one. After that, we can see that it is happening in a E ray and O ray. That means what electrical ray and magnetic ray. That means what one is in parallel and the one is in perpendicular thing. So after understanding this one, what is the functionality of optical isolator and all, the diagram and all we have seen. So in this particular diagram, if I just recall you, that is when the wave is, there will be multiple ports. Here we have 3 ports, a circulator we have taken. So whatever the input we have give, so output will be exiting from the another port. There will be a provision for input and output from the port to port. So like this is going to happen. So after that, we'll go for the passive linear bus performance and all. So here losses in the bus coupler in this particular diagram we have seen that one. And correspondingly power budget we have seen. In the power budget there are 2 things, that is the nearest neighbor power budget, largest distance power budget we have seen. In that particular thing, nearest neighbor power budget means what is the equation we will get. And next is what largest distance power budget, what is the equation you will get. So all those things we have discussed. So next, star network performance. So when we are talking about the star network performance, so what exactly happened? Comparative performance of linear bus and star network has been explained here. So here photonic switching. So in this particular photonic switching, so what do you mean by photonic switching? What is the definition of photonic switching? How the action is taking place? Optical cross connect architecture. Okay. So will be available. So after that, non-linear effects, group velocity dispersion, all those things, non-uniform gain for a different wavelength, polarization mode dispersion, reflections from splices and connectors, non-linear inelastic scattering process, variation in reflect index of the fiber, all those things will come into picture. So next thing is what a dense wavelength division multiplex, that is DWDM. So very slight difference between the WDM and DWDM. So that we have seen here, audio, video, text and data. So these are having the very dense, the wavelength will be very dense. So these, there will be a provision of sending all these kind of signals also. That is called what dense wavelength division multiplexing. So next, Banks and interferometer. Here the main thing is what one wave will go in a correct time. Another one wave will be moving in another phase of the wave will be moving in a different time. So by that particular variation, we can arrive at the Mach-Zehnder interferometer. So we can arrive at phase shifting is going to happen. So for corresponding equations are being given here. Next thing we'll see that the 3-cavity filter, cavity 1, cavity 2, and cavity 3. So that is dielectric thin film filter. So in this particular dielectric thin film filter, we can understand what the thing that one particular wavelength of the wave will passing through the cavity 1. So cavity 2 is designed for different wavelength. Cavity 3 is designed for different wavelength. So that is what exactly the use of this particular thin film filter. It means what it will acting as a band pass filter. So within the range, if it is available, it will pass, or else no. So like that is there. And next we go for the MEMS technology. We understood the MEMS technology. So how the MEMS actuation method is going to happen, we have understood. So later applications of MEMS technology and all we have seen. So later we understand the active optical components, in that variable optical attenuators, tunable optical filters, dynamic gain equalizers, all those things, optical add or drop multiplexers, polarization controllers, chromatic dispersion compensators, all those things we have seen. So next thing is what variable optical attenuators, the VOA, we have seen. So the diagram, so for every all these active filters, for everything there is a diagram and there is the explanation part of it. So all those things are very important. I can go through it. We have discussed each and everything. And later the last topic is types of optical amplifiers. So we have discussed all these things today only.